Don't tell him, but I think it's the best hazy pale ale I've ever brewed.
Welcome to our brand new series where we're deep diving into the latest yeast strains from Cellar Science. We've spent months on a mission, brewing with pros, crafting new recipes, experimenting with fresh wort kits, and pushing these strains to their absolute limits to see where they really shine. These new strains now come in 15-gram sachets. That means healthier ferments, shorter lag times, and quicker turnarounds for your brew day. Join us as we explore the world of Cellar Science and take your fermentation to the next level.
Hey guys, we're down at Black Match Beverages where we've been chatting to Callum, the head brewer, and he's been experimenting with a brand new yeast strain from Cellar Science, which is Any Hazy. We've just been drinking one of his hazies, fresh off tank that he brewed with this very yeast, and let me tell you, it is absolutely singing. We go through and have a deep dive into what exactly this yeast strain is going to bring to your beer and your hazies, how to get the best from it, and what techniques you should be implementing. So we have a good long chat because he's even written as a recipe that we're going to brew on a Brewzilla here today. So we go through the grist and what each malt is going to bring to the beer. We go through the dry hop schedule and certain techniques to avoid hop creep and things like that people are worried about in a hazy. And then we go through the water additions and also the pH. There's a good long chat about pH, which has some killer information in there. So make sure you stay tuned because you'll definitely learn something. But yeah, let's go and brew this beer. So Callum, this obviously you just poured one of the beers fresh off tank and it is smelling honestly unbelievable.
It's good when you can smell it from half a room away.
Yeah.
I think that's a sign of a good pale ale or hazy or IPA. Yeah, we're brewing a hazy pale today, heroing the beer around a new yeast from Cellar Science.
Yep.
Which we've used in one of our pilot brews here at Black Match. And yeah, it's a banger.
So what is it we're actually looking for from a yeast for a hazy style? Because obviously we've got lots of aromas and stuff coming from the hops. But what is it what we're actually looking for?
Yeah, I think with hazy beer brewing, modern hazy beer brewing, there's a lot of emphasis around hops.
Yep.
And I suppose the overall outcome we want in a beer is a pillowy mouthfeel, big, juicy, fruity hop flavors and aromas, and haze positive. You want it to be hazy.
So you don't want it dropping clear.
So from a yeast, you definitely want it to be haze positive. You want it to be throwing out a little bit of tropical expression and contributing to that overall aroma experience, but also just keeping all of the right things in suspension and contributing to that pillowy mouthfeel.
Yep. So after your first experience, obviously the first time you brewed with this yeast, what are your impressions?
Yeah, I brewed with a lot of hazy yeasts over the years, and some of them are quite tricky to control.
Yeah.
It's always nervous brewing with a yeast for the first time, but there's been no issues through fermentation with byproducts. Some hazy yeasts I find get a little bit hot. You kind of taste that hot booze.
Yep.
Absolutely no sign of it in this. And this has dried out a little bit more than I planned, but that's the joy of pilot brewing. But even with the dry finish, it's still got a really pillowy mouthfeel.
Yeah.
And so I think the contribution from the yeast is it's quite impressive. So
this is not carbonated and it tastes awesome. And you can still get in all those aromas getting thrown out at you. But the mouthfeel, even uncarbonated, is bang on. Like you say, it's a bit dry, but it's still got that full mouthfeel.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty high candidate to be like the house hazy yeast here at Black Match.
There we go.
Yeah.
So around the yeast, obviously your experience with the yeast and stuff like that, you've developed this recipe for us to brew today on the Brewzilla. And why have we aimed for this? So let's talk about the grainbill first of all. So we're going 70% base malt, Barrett Burston Pale, 20% wheat malt, Barrett Burston. We're going for some chit malt as well from Gladfield, 5%, and 5% rolled oats. So chit malt's not something I always see in like a hazy grainbill.
Yeah, maybe it's my German heritage, but I love chit malt. I use it in every single beer. I find it really aids foam retention.
Yep.
It also helps fermentability, so it will help you convert all of your starches to sugars in your mash as well. And it kind of performs the same as a dextrin malt, like carapils or Joe White dextrin, but you're not contributing the dextrins that can then undergo hop creep and form diacetyl precursor through fermentation. So I try and avoid dextrins in my hazies as much as possible. So yeah, I think, and chit malt, you don't want to overuse it. Absolute maximum at 10% in maybe a bigger hazy, but 5% is about the sweet spot for me. Hazy grist can be any number of things. Sometimes I throw in a little bit of malted oats as well, but my preference for hazies is more wheat forward than oat forward. So it's a small amount of rolled oats, but I also find with wheat, malted wheat, I think is more haze stable than rolled wheat. So it's a 20% is pretty generous. Overall, we've got 25% of the grist is like unhulled wheat or oats. There's breweries that do a lot higher than that, but with this yeast, and our hop load, we should get a really nice stable haze without the issues of stuck mashes or the like. Touch wood.
Yeah, awesome. Hopefully, don't need too many rice hulls and stuff like that. If we're only going 5% on the rolled oats.
Yeah, we should be okay.
Should be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the chip malt's generally there for, like you say, is a replacement for like carapils, carafoam. It's not going to add too much flavour. It's just going to get out of the way and add to that body. Yeah,
it's really neutral. A chip malt, it's kind of like a very under-modified Pilsner malt.
Yeah, okay.
And so it's pretty protein-rich, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it aids foam retention, fermentability, but haze stability as well. So it's kind of the three things that I'm after on a brew day and in a beer like this. So yeah, I think it's a really key kind of component.
Awesome. And then, so we got the hops on here as well. So these are the brew day hops. So we're going to go for 5% IBU, 5 IBUs with Magnum.
Yep.
Just clean backbone to...
Yeah. I think even if you're going for the lowest bitterness hazy in the world, I really value a start of boil addition.
Yeah.
Make it small if you don't want the bitterness, but I just think it gives you a little bit of structure. I find some hazies that are only being hit cold side or in the whirlpool, they're just lacking something. I
agree, yeah.
And Magnum's our house bittering hop. It's a really kind of clean, neutral bitterness. So that gets used in everything. Start a boil.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then we're going Whirlpool, we're going Citra Cryo and Nectron.
Yeah. I'm a big one of keeping most of the hop load of a hazy in the dry hops.
Yep.
But you still want to hit the Whirlpool hard enough.
Yeah.
A good way to do that is using Cryo or Lupamax or any of those advanced hop products because you're getting maximum impact without just overloading with vegetal matter.
So we're cutting down on our losses and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, so Cryo is a really good one to throw in. If you can cool your Whirlpool down to 80, 85 degrees C, that'll help as well. Because Cryo is an advanced product, its alpha acid is a lot higher. It's about double that of what a standard hop pellet would be. So it will impart a good whack of bitterness, but if you keep your hop stand short enough and you can cool pull, that's a really good way to kind of keep your bitterness down as well.
So how long would you say we're going to hold this at, say if we get it down, because we can get it down to 80, and then how long are we going to hold it there for? 20 minutes or?
Yeah, I do, like as soon as you hit 80, I'm pretty lucky on a commercial brew house, you can form a really nice compact trube cone. If I could only stand it for 10 minutes before I start casting out to my fermenter, I would do that.
Okay.
But you do it as long as it takes on your kit to form a nice compact cone.
Yep.
That could be 10, that could be 15, that could be 20. Past 20 minutes, you're starting to probably risk a lot of alpha acid conversion and bitterness pickup. We'll try for 15 minutes, I recken.
Okay. Yeah. So a shorter time, we don't need to go too long. And then we got obviously a double dry hop. So what's the idea rather than, I know a lot of people are like, just do a single. What's the idea about us doing a smaller dry hop followed by a bigger one before we cold crash?
I think a big part of hazy brewing is staging and staggering your dry hops because it's such a big hop load that goes into these beers to get that aroma, that flavour, that if you throw it all in, potentially you're not getting maximum impact. And then as well as staging it at different times, you're getting different amounts of yeast activity, you're getting it at different temperatures, so you're going to get different expression. So I'm really big at least 2 dry hops in a hazy, sometimes 3. I don't always advertise that in the beer, in the hazies that I make. I'm also a big fan of using Cryo or an advanced product during a mid-fermentation dry hop because they have less vegetal matter. It's the vegetal matter that will lead to hop creep. There's a bit of research going on and it's still nothing concrete, but the evidence is leaning towards the bract and the vegetal matter of hop pellets that's still intact in that. There's an enzyme in that that's working with the dextrins left over from a high mash temperature or dextrin malt usage that will lead to hop creep, and that creates your VDK precursor. And then that's what will form diacetyl after you've kegged or canned a beer.
So that's a great argument for cryo in the mid for the first dry hop or the mid dry hop.
And because it's so punchy, you can arguably use less of it or use the same amount as T90 pellets and then you just explode your aroma impact.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I tend to keep the mid ferment dry hops no more than 2 grams a litre.
Yep.
But cryo is a great way to kind of maximise that impact.
Yeah, awesome. And then we're going Nectron, Mosaic and Motueka on the, it sounds awesome just thinking about it.
Yeah. When I come up with hazy, well, it's not easy to come up with a great hazy recipe, but there's so many good hazy hops.
Yeah.
We're going to get heaps of tropical expression from our Citra, our Nectaron, arguably a little from our Mosaic and Motueka, but I kind of end up throwing Mosaic in every hoppy beer that I make. I find it's like MSG and it's just, or it's a really good like partner or lifter hop. So it'll give you a bit of that tropical berry if you have the right lot, but
that's something you can't quite put your finger on, but you know it's there, like the MSG.
Yeah. If Blackmatch ever releases a single hop IPA, there'll be a little bit of Mosaic in there because I find it honestly just lifts everything around it. So it'll impart its flavor, but it'll boost its citra, its nectar on. And Motueka, I find like Motueka, when it was first released, it was very that kind of mojito lime zest.
Yeah, sort of limey.
But the way that hop growers are these days, they're kind of trying to kiln lower temperatures, and there's a little bit more tropical expression that comes through, but it's still got that lemon lime. If you're cooking meals at home, lemon zest or lemon juice or whatever, it lifts as well.
Yeah.
So that one's just in at a lower percentage of the bill, but it's kind of to lift as well. So we're really heroing the citra and the nectaron, and the mosaic and the Motueka are kind of there as they're the teammates doing the hard lifting.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
And now let's just go on to the water side of things, because I know you're big on the pH, like watching the pH throughout the entire process, ensuring you've got good water salts and stuff like that in there. So we're going to be mashing at 69 to keep a bit of body.
Yeah, I think you're kind of running a bit of risk if you mash lower than that. You'll probably dry out more than you want. And we're looking to finish at 10, 12. I think that's a really good sweet spot. Some hazy pales are finishing kind of closer to 10, 14, 10, 16. But this for me is the sweet spot between that sweetness and that drinkability.
Yep.
And to do that, you've really, if you're going less than 69 degrees, you're gonna struggle to keep it that high.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then the salts that we're going in for in there. So we're going for just over 2 to 1 on the chloride sulfates. And
water profiles that's a whole art form. I mean, I've tried a lot over the 10-ish years I've been doing this. And chloride heavy hazies, I find, have the best hop perception, juicy, tropical citrus expression, but I still value some sulfate. I think the sulfate is needed there for some structure. So we're kind of a little bit over 2 to 1, but there's still like some significance to this sulfate. So yeah, if you can get as close to these as possible, I sometimes throw a bit of magnesium, a bit of sodium in via kind of canning salt or magnesium sulfate or chloride as well, just to build out that salt profile and just contrite to like the body of a beer like this as well.
Awesome. And then let's talk about pH. So
yeah, I'm a pH.
So where are we going to go for? Anytime you speak to a pro brewer, they're like, oh yeah, pH, I'll just track all the way through. So what are we doing in the mash?
Before I get into that too, a really good experiment for home brewers, if you brew a beer, a lager, a hazy, an IPA, a pale ale, whatever it might be, take your finished beer, get some food grade phosphoric acid and just get a bunch of glasses on a table and have your control, whatever the pH is, and then just dose a little bit to different pH levels and see how that flavor and aroma perception changes.
You can try that
wild.
Through different styles and stuff like that.
Anything,
as well.
anything. You can do it with a soft drink. That's why if you look on the back of a soft drink can, usually it's got a citric acid or some sort of food grade acid. And that's just to keep, if they're using natural products, is just to keep that the same batch to batch to batch. But you can completely change your flavor perception in your end product. So yeah, really pH is huge. I use lactic acid or acidulated malt on a brew day on the hot side. And then when you get to cold side, food grade phosphoric is super neutral. And so that's a good way to go. You can use lactic acid too, but if you overuse it, you'll taste it.
Kind of gets a bit yogurty almost.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And you can see you can probably cheat a kettle sour and just add a heap of lactic acid to it, but you'll taste it. So yeah, mash pH is huge.
Yeah, okay.
Mash pH will contribute to your fermentability, to getting the right kind of malt taste from your beer. So it varies style to style, but for this, we're going to target, if we can get between 5.3 and 5.4, that's the key. That's a big one to watch. If you mash in and your pH is too high for what you want, that's fine. Just add a little bit of lactic acid. Go small, don't overdo it, because once you overdo it, you can't really go back. And during your mash rest, you can just give it a mix, test again, and dial it in, and try and just get most of your rest to your target. When we start transferring to our kettle or sparging, I'm keeping an eye particularly on my sparge. As you sparge and you're getting to your last runnings, make sure your pH doesn't get too high. On
the off-runs or on the the kettle?
First runnings, like when you start going to your kettle, pH anywhere between 5.2 and 5.4 is great. When you start to get your last runnings, that's starting to get very watery. And if your pH goes over 5.8, you're going to start extracting some like tannic astringency that you don't want. And this really kind of unwanted, grainy, husky character. And again, like if you're going for a really low alc beer, this is not one of those. But if I was trying to make like a 3.5% mid-strength lager, those last runnings are going to be pushing it. And that, again, you're just adding little bits of acid just to keep it under control until you've collected all the wort that you need. And then once you get into your kettle and you've collected all of your wort, your grains out, I'm looking for about a pH of 5.3. There's and again, like something on the homebrew scale too that I've only kind of learnt in recent years is you can have your target, but give yourself a window. Plus or minus 0.1 is fine.
Yeah, okay. And would you be adjusting that if it's not within the plus or within that range?
Exactly. If we collect all of our wort today and our pH is up at 5.5, we'll be adding a bit of lactic acid to get us as close to 5.3 as possible.
Yep.
What we'll find is through the boil, as we get some boil off, as we add our hops, we add sparge salts as well. All of that is contributing to a pH adjustment too. So at the end of the boil too, we'll take our gravity reading, but we'll test our pH as well. Most often it drops a little bit. We might find if we hit 5.3 at the start, maybe we're at 5.25 end of boil and whirlpool. And then by cast out, I'm really hoping we hit 5.1 to 5.2. And if we find we get into tank and we're a bit high, bit of food grade phosphoric acid or lactic acid alongside our yeast.
Yeah, okay. So anything post kettle, you're going with phosphoric rather than lactic.
Yes. And then even if you find, just say you throw some hops in alongside your yeast, and you are taking a sample on day 3 of your fermentation, and your pH is, just say we're targeting a finished pH of 4.5. If your pH is up at 4.8, it's not food safe anymore. Like once that's packaged, that has the ability to sour and turn. You can add some phosphoric acid alongside your dry hops.
Okay.
You can do it. You can, as long as you're not introducing like too much oxygen or any oxygen, ideally, you can be adjusting your pH all the way to the keg.
And doing it whilst you're dry hopping, obviously you're opening the tank. You may as well do it at that
and it'll
point.
just be a squirt.
Yep.
For instance, this hazy that we have in tank, if I was to do a pH adjustment and try to get that to go from 4.6 to 4.5, for 300 litres, I'm adding like 30 to 40 grams. Okay. So you can imagine on a homebrew scale, it's like a drop.
We'll get a micro dose.
Get a micro pipette. So yeah, look, pH is huge. We monitor it even closer than gravity.
Okay, wow.
It's a big thing.
And we were talking before, like depending on the style, depends exactly on what pH you're targeting out of the tank. So you were saying like Pilsner and stuff like that, you're on the lower end. And everything needs to be below 4.6.
Yeah, look, in America, if you're over 4.7, you're not food safe, and technically you shouldn't have that beer on a shelf in a bottle shop or over a tap on a bar. I'm not sure if the legalities are the same here in Australia, but let's say if I'm making a really crisp, dry Aussie lager, I want my beer that's on tap or in the keg, I want that pH of ideally 4.3. If you find it gets too low, you're going to taste it. It's going to have that kind of acidic kind of twang, and it's already a dry beer. But everyone's got their own palate, so you can play with this. As I said, like do some bench trialing at home.
Yep.
You can even go buy like, God forbid, Melbourne Bitter or something, and bench trial it with a commercial beer.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. For a hazy, I find if the pH is below 4.4, it's just not contributing. Like you find the perceived body kind of thins out. Yeah. Okay. So I really aim for about 4.5.
So we'll be checking that, and then even in the fermenter, if by the end of the ferment and it's dropped below 4.4, we'll be adding.
Well, if it gets too low, you're kind of stuck. But with big hop loads, this is not a huge hop load.
It should be going up anyway. Yep.
Yeah. The more that you dry hop a beer, the more you'll see a pH increase.
So we're actually looking that it doesn't get too high.
That's the risk in hazies. Yep, that's definitely the risk in hazies. It's risky. You add acid and you add too much, and then you're out of spec, and you're like, your pH is too low, and there's nothing you can do to come back. So do it with caution.
Okay, so let's get on to the ferment. So post-brew day, we're going to be pitching the yeast at 18 and fermenting at 20 for 3 days.
Yep.
And then we're going to allow it to free rise after the dry hops. We're going to let it ferment and then dry hop on day 3.
I've been finding this yeast strain is pretty versatile. There's a whole range of things you can do. I personally wouldn't let it get over 24 degrees.
Yeah, okay.
And that goes across the board unless you're using Kveik or maybe Saison yeast. But the warmer we get, we're letting the yeast clear up all the unwanted byproducts that it's created during the growth phase of early fermentation, particularly on a cold Melbourne winter's day. This man's from Yorkshire, that's why he's in a t-shirt. He's a madman. When it's cold, the yeast is struggling against that cold ambient temperature, and the fermentation might slow down and struggle towards the end. So if you take off your glycol cooling or however you're cooling your fermenter, just let the yeast just get as warm as it needs to, under 24 degrees, to finish off. Typically, almost with every beer that I make, I try and pitch 1 or 2 degrees Celsius less than what we will ferment primary at. And that is, there's some science around it, but short story is you're minimizing unwanted like phenol and like those unwanted yeasty smells. Yep. And too much sulfur. Like if a yeast is still trying to grow and build up to the numbers it needs to ferment healthily, and it's too hot, it'll just start trying to ferment the sugars before it's grown, and it's going to throw off all these unwanted kind of sulfurs and smells. Yeah. So it's not like crazy cool. We're not lager cool, but we're just letting it grow before we're giving it more energy. Yep. 20 degrees for hazies is pretty standard. You can go as low as 17 degrees probably if you want to keep it a little bit more neutral. Yep. But this yeast throws out so many nice, like subtle tropical esters that we want to give it enough heat to do that. I'm a big fan of mid-ferment dry hopping anywhere between, it's high Krausen or after. So day 3, like it should have ripped through a fair bit of sugar by then. So it's a good time to add it. If you can dry hop your beer under pressure or via a hop bong or something without having to physically open the thing, that's a win because no one wants to get geysered by...
We've got hot bongs, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. We have hop doses here as well. So I've seen too many videos of brewers that CO2 is in suspension in a fermentation. They degas their tank, they open it up, throw some hops in. That CO2 nucleates and then just comes up and hits them. And you lose product, you risk infection. Like
you make a mess.
And you make a mess. Yeah. So caution with mid-ferment dry hopping.
And then by the time we get to say FG stabilized, we're going to dry hop and then are we chilling immediately?
We have a couple of like go, no-go tests here. So for us to say a fermentation is finished, the gravity has been stable for at least 2 days.
Yep.
That's one. What you should find if a yeast is finished fermenting and it's starting to go dormant, you will see a slight uptick in your pH.
Yeah, okay.
That's no-go 2. And 3 is doing a VDK test. That's when you take some of your finished beer, get it in a sealable container and sit it in a water bath or just a way to get it up to 50 degrees C for 20 minutes. And what that's going to do, if there is any VDK precursor left in your solution and the yeast hasn't eaten it up, warming it up to that temperature is going to convert that precursor to diacetyl.
Yep.
And then you're going to smell butterscotch, buttered popcorn, however it presents to you. And if that still exists in the beer, it does not get chilled.
Yep.
Because you just have to give the yeast time to eat that up. Occasionally it won't eat it up and that's when you've had an unhealthy fermentation and the yeast doesn't have enough energy at the end to do that. But there are 3, we call them go, no-go steps. Yep. But if you pass those 3 tests, then I'd be comfortable chilling that beer down, taking your hops off and starting to kind of stabilize your beer, getting ready to carbonate, getting ready to keg.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, the VDK test is really, really handy actually because a lot of people, because once it's in there and you start cold crashing and you pull it off the yeast, which is what a lot of people do, and then they find it in the finished product.
It's too late.
Yep.
You can use ALDC, alpha decarboxylase, when you pitch your yeast. That will stop the precursor being made. It's very expensive. But if you have healthy fermentation and you do your VDK testing, you avoid it.
Awesome.
And anyone can do it. You just have a sealable container and a hot water bath.
There we go. Awesome. Yeah. So let's make it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the brew day went obviously swimmingly. There was a few power issues.
There's always something.
But we hit the numbers and the fermentation's been going pretty smooth as well. So we've got to consistent gravity. So there's 3 go, no goes before we soft crash.
Yeah, there's more to an end of fermentation than just having a stable gravity. Like you don't want to put some hops into your beer when there's maybe some dextrins that might undergo hop creep or diacetyl that hasn't been chewed up. So we do these tests called go, no-go tests. And unless you have a pass, you're not allowed to proceed any further. So it's a no-go. Stable gravity for more than 2 days.
Which we hit. We got it down to 10, 12.
Your pH either stabilizes, but if the yeast is healthy and it starts to chew up byproducts, there'll be a slight uptick, maybe 0.1. So we look for that. And 3 is passing a forced diacetyl test or what we call a VDK test.
Which is what we're going to do now. So we've basically taken 2 samples and we've heated up one of the samples. So one of them is just a control.
Yep.
And the other one's obviously been in there. So around about just hot tap water temp, we said.
Yeah. If you turn on your tap at home, put it on full hot, whatever that is should be hot enough. You're creating a warm water bath. So you have one control sample and then your heated sample sits in your 50-ish degree C water bath for 20 minutes. And what that will do, if there is any diacetyl precursor left in your beer, being at that temperature for 20 minutes will make it turn into diacetyl.
And that's why we've got Taylor here, right?
My diacetyl threshold is notoriously poor. So I rely heavily on my team and Taylor has been threshold tested for diacetyl and he's got a really good nose for it.
Awesome.
He's worth more than that, but this is one of his true skills.
So we've had it sat hot for 20 minutes. So now we got to chill it down.
Yes. So ideally you want to at the temperature that you'll be drinking the beer at, essentially.
Okay, yep. So as long as so they both need to be the same, so we want to get them both down to what, 4 or 5 degrees?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So we got a bucket of ice. Just gonna stick it in there.
Go for it.
And then what's the flavor that we're looking for?
So essentially what we're looking for is butterscotch or butter. Some people get like that fake butter smell that you get on like cinema popcorn. It's a really good way to do it. Otherwise, if you're tasting it as well, it can feel a little bit slick in your mouth.
Now, why do we have the controls?
Essentially, the control is there just as a comparison. So it makes, I suppose, smelling the VDK a little bit easier.
Oh, yes, you got something to go against, like as your
Exactly
standard.
right.
Yep. So what do we reckon?
All right.
We'll let the expert go first.
Thank you. And again, I'm just looking for that butterscotchy, fake buttery kind of smell. And another important thing is not to just blurt out what you smell as well, if you've got a couple of people doing the test, because you don't want to involve
say
bias.
how good it smells.
What are we thinking?
So I reckon there might be a touch.
Ooh, okay. I actually didn't get any that time.
You were nodding. You think there's a touch?
I thought there was something, but so the thing about forced diacetyl tests is when you heat up an organic product like that to 50 degrees C, it might not just be diacetyl precursor changing to diacetyl. There's all other things that being at that
You're
temperature
volatilizing the hops and stuff like that.
Yeah, so sometimes you get some pretty disgusting type of characters come through that are not diacetyl.
Ah, okay.
And that's just what happens when you cook an unfinished beer. Might be what we're getting.
So one smells better than the other, definitely.
Yeah.
But we don't reckon it's diacetyl, so we reckon we're good to soft crash.
In this situation, even though you guys have got me here as the expert, I would say numbers don't lie, right? So if you've got a couple of people who do smell it and one that doesn't, go with the majority.
Yeah, and then we just do the test again tomorrow.
Exactly right.
And then what's the plan? So we're going to soft crash. Once we've got stable, we're going to soft crash to 12. Dry hop with the Nectron, Modoeca, and Mosaic.
Take the yeast off before you do it as well.
Take the yeast off if you can.
If you can.
Yep. And then we are going to be holding that for 48 hours.
Yeah, the way we do it at the brewery is at your soft crash temperature, anywhere between 10 to 14 degrees Celsius, hold it 48 hours, and then crash as cold as you can. And I like to wait until you're under 4 degrees Celsius to take the hops off. You'll just get a cleaner dumping.
Yep.
But the sooner you can get it off the hops after that 48 hours, the better.
So we're dumping before the second dry hop, and then before, and then after, just before like we get to sub-zero. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much after any dry hop, if you're sitting on hop matter for more than 72 hours at worst, like you'll pick up polyphenol green characters that are pretty harsh. So we're just trying to avoid that. We want all the good, soft, juicy, fruity, hoppy stuff without that harsh green vegetal polyphenol stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll give it another day, and then we'll crack on.
And then we'll let the magic happen.
Okay, so we're back where we started with a beer in a wine glass. And what do we think, Callum?
That's how we do it here. No? Yeah, we got the finished product. I only kegged a couple of days ago. So it's very young, but it's drinking really nice for how young it is.
Yeah.
It's it looks the part, it looks thick, nice white foam. The aroma is like really popping out of the glass, and it tastes soft as well.
Yeah.
Very drinkable.
I think it's really good. And I think it's so important that we obviously followed all those steps, like the pH was so important, the VDK test, because obviously we waited a day before we did the soft crash.
We did, yep.
And it did clear up that buttery flavor, buttery aroma.
The first time we did the VDK test, it was very buttery.
Yeah.
And so, we just held it until, gave it a few more days for that yeast to finish up, do its thing. And then, we passed all the go, no-goes. And the soft crash to 12 degrees, put the hops in, took them off after, it was 48 hours, wasn't it? Yep. And you just avoid those kind of green astringent flavors. And it's tropical, it's citrus, it's quite complex. I can't pinpoint a specific fruit, but there's a lot there.
It was kind of, there's quite a mix of hops in there. But I think that's kind of, when you've just got that kind of like fruit punch kind of.
That was flavor. What we were going for, There's no one hop that stands out. Even Nectron can be quite dominant, but it's sitting in the mix really nicely.
Yeah. And I think just following those tips that you gave us about pH, doing the VDK test, which I would have never done previously, and getting it off the hops as soon as we can. So like we got it off the hops after that first dry hop, got it off the hops after 48 hours of the second dry hop. Yep. And the beer, like, I can't believe it's only been keg a few days, because there's like not really any astringent or hop burn or anything like that, which you normally experience from like a a beer that's hopped this hard.
Exactly. I think 2 weeks in the keg and this will be absolutely singing. That's kind of when I feel like these sort of beers really come into their own. All this like same day IPA and like rush to drink it, you can, but I feel like it'll mellow out over 2 weeks and then it hits its prime.
Yeah. I honestly think all of those steps and taking extra focus on every single part of the process has developed like an awesome beer.
Yeah, beer making's easy. You just need a million things to all go right in order.
So thanks guys for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel where you can follow all the rest in this Cellar Science series where we're testing every single strain to its max and developing some awesome beers with some awesome people. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell on the down in the corner, and also join our Facebook community page where there's tons of people giving out advice on things that you need to care about like pH and things like that we've discussed. All right guys, cheers.
Cheers.